Hello, and welcome to the 2026 North Coast Ventures Annual Meeting. I'm Todd Fetterman, Managing Director of North Coast Ventures. We're recording from the offices of Thompson Hine, our longtime partner and presenting sponsor of this year's event. As we move through today's program, please keep in mind that we are regulated by the SEC. The information and opinions shared are intended to be informational and should not be considered investment advice or an offer to invest in any security. With that said, we're excited to share this update. We'll begin with an overview of our funds, including highlights from two of our newest vehicles, Acceleration Fund 3 and Seed Fund 5. Next, you'll hear 5-minute updates from the CEOs of 5 of our fastest growing companies, each offering a snapshot of their progress and momentum. We'll then review the broader portfolio and share select updates from individual companies. And to close, I'll sit down for a fireside chat with Dan Gilbert, founder and chairman of Rocket Companies. We'll discuss how Rocket thinks about technology and AI, what great founders do differently when selling into large enterprises like Rocket, and what Dan looks for when he's the one writing the check. Before we dive in, I'd like to share a few important thank yous. First, to our presenting sponsor, the law firm of Thompson Hine. Their New Ventures group is nationally recognized for its work with startups and venture funds, especially here in Northeast Ohio. They represent high-growth companies across technology, healthcare, and consumer products, and we deeply appreciate their contributions to the startup ecosystem. I'd also like to thank our supporting sponsor, K2 Venture Partners. Based in Northeast Ohio, K2 is an AI software development studio that helps ambitious companies turn product vision into production-grade reality, combining CTO-level strategy with hands-on engineering execution. I'd also like to thank North Coast's nearly 25 Innovation Council members. These organizations are committed to accelerating the startup ecosystem and make many of our key activities possible. With that, let's begin. As a reminder, our investment thesis centers on applied, vertical AI ventures that are business to business and building in industries such as healthcare IT, digital health, insurtech, logistics tech, and the future of work. Within these industries, we look for companies targeting mission-critical workflows with a clear buyer, a clear ROI, and a repeatable go-to-market motion. Proprietary data and deep integration opportunities make the moat even stronger. These are the domains where our 500-plus person network creates a genuine edge for the companies that we back. We invest at 2 key stages, seed and acceleration. Seed stage companies typically have a small team, a minimum viable product that delivers on the core value proposition, and early customer traction. Acceleration stage companies have more established momentum, usually with recurring revenue between $1 million and $5 million. Our acceleration model enables us to continue backing many of the top-performing companies from our seed portfolios, especially those demonstrating significant commercial traction. As we reflect on the past year, several milestones stand out. First, the successful exits of Amplifund, Givzey, and Healthy Roster. 3 liquidity events in a single year is a meaningful result, and I'll share more details on those in a moment. Second, continued momentum in our 2 newest vehicles, Acceleration Fund 3 and Seed Fund 5. Together, they represent the next chapter of North Coast growth, anchored by $15 million secured through a successful SSBCI program, which is part of the state of Ohio's Ohio Third Frontier. Third, strong portfolio momentum. Multiple companies reached significant scale during the year, with several hitting annual revenue milestones of $10 million, $25 million, and even $100 million. One company also reached $40 million in EBITDA, an exceptional accomplishment. Fourth, we completed investments in 9 new companies in 2025 across both seed and acceleration stages. And finally, we've invested meaningfully in building our own internal AI platform that integrates CRM tools, custom AI, and data infrastructure to enable smarter matchmaking between our portfolio companies, subject matter experts, and potential customers, turning our 500-person network into an even more intelligent, activatable asset. As we look back on 2025, it's important to take stock of the environment. The pace of AI adoption continued to accelerate across 2 distinct dimensions. The first is enterprise adoption, the growing urgency among large organizations to embed AI into their core operations, workflows, and decision-making. This is the market many of our portfolio companies sell into, and buyer expectations are rising quickly for software that creates real leverage and measurable outcomes. What began as experimentation has increasingly become operational reality, with leaders moving from curiosity to implementation at scale. The second dimension is how software companies themselves are using AI to build and deliver. The best founders are deploying AI across product development, customer success, and operations, compressing timelines, doing more with leaner teams, and shipping faster. This is reshaping what it means to be an efficient, high-performing software company. Underpinning both dimensions is the continued evolution of foundation models, improving in capability, efficiency, and specialization. Layered on top, agentic AI is now beginning to reshape how companies think about workflows, productivity, and team structure, both for the enterprises our portfolio companies serve and for the companies themselves. This is not just a product story. It is also a company building story. The best founders are moving quickly, but they're also being thoughtful about where AI creates durable value and where it simply creates noise. For the verticals we focus on, AI built on deep domain expertise and real enterprise workflows is where we believe most durable value will be created. A related shift worth noting is that software development itself is undergoing a platform shift. Tools like Claude Code, OpenAI's Codex, and OpenClaw are changing how software gets built, allowing developers and increasingly non-developers to build and ship meaningful products faster than ever. Vibe coding is accelerating that change, lowering the barrier to creation and blurring the line between technical and non-technical contributors. As a result, some of the traditional advantage held by large engineering organizations is beginning to compress, while the potential output of small, highly focused teams is expanding dramatically. This is also starting to reshape the build versus buy decisions across companies of every size. On the broader market side, parts of the environment remained resilient, while others continued to show caution. Capital has become more selective as buyers remain disciplined, and companies are being pushed to demonstrate real performance, efficient growth, and clear differentiation. Several of our companies currently engaged with investment bankers are hearing that strategic acquirers remain active, while financial buyers are more cautious and increasingly price sensitive. In many ways, this environment plays to the strengths of the Midwest, where founders have often built with more discipline, more capital efficiency, and a sharper focus on solving real customer problems. As we look ahead to 2026, I'd like to acknowledge our community of over 500 individual investors. We thank each and every one of you. As a network of successful entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, and industry experts, your support, engagement, and willingness to open your networks have been instrumental to our success. In the Midwest, where businesses still move heavily through trust, reputation, and relationships, that network gives us a real differentiated advantage. Activating the network is one of our most important jobs. We call it introductions of value, a warm, high-impact introduction from a trusted North Coast investor to a potential customer, strategic partner, or follow-on investor. Last year, we documented more than 200 of them, and the results were concrete. Millions of dollars in incremental sales and tens of millions of dollars in value creation across the portfolio. Two examples from the past year to illustrate the point. A North Coast introduction helped position Axuall to land a $300,000 a year ARR customer. Another connected Narratize to a $150,000 a year ARR opportunity with a large public company. These are not simple referrals. They are network-driven revenue, and this capability, delivered at scale, is a real differentiator in attracting entrepreneurs who understand the value of working with North Coast. In 2026, we're building the infrastructure to do this at even greater scale. We're sharpening our HubSpot database, mapping more relationships systematically, and using AI to identify the right connection at the right time for every company in our portfolio. The goal is simple. Every portfolio company gets meaningful, warm introductions to enterprise prospects. We've built the network in the process to invest with conviction that we can open doors to significant new ARR in the first year after our investment, and in some cases, more than $1 million of ARR in that time. Each introduction not only creates a sales opportunity, but also helps the company and our team better understand customer needs and position the business for the future. This is one of our most distinctive advantages, and the results show it is working. In addition to facilitating customer introductions, this approach has enabled the placement of more than 20 board directors, observers, and advisors across the portfolio. It's hard to overstate the quality and impact of these individuals. A few standout names that began new engagements in 2025 include Bob Nicolai, Mitch Kroll, Sam Aborn, Ramona Hood, Bill Kaler, Kevin von Kaiserling, Larry Orwin, Maya Hansen, Akil Salecha, Lance Hill, and Nate Spoden. Next, I'm excited to recognize this year's North Coast Ventures Members of the Year. This award honors individual investors who go above and beyond in supporting our fund, our portfolio companies, and the broader startup ecosystem. It also reflects a tradition of member leadership that has helped define North Coast over time, as this slide of past winners makes clear. This year, we're recognizing two individuals who have made extraordinary contributions to our community, Mike Linton and Larry Orwin. Mike is one of the country's most accomplished marketing executives, with CMO and senior leadership roles at Best Buy, eBay, Farmers Insurance, and Ancestry.com. He also hosts CMO Confidential, a widely followed podcast on marketing leadership and strategy. Mike brings a rare mix of brand building, growth marketing, and general management experience, and he's been generous in advising our portfolio companies. We're fortunate to have him as our go-to expert on all things marketing. Larry Orwin is a seasoned sales executive and entrepreneur based in Northeast Ohio. Over a career spanning consultative sales, sales leadership, and revenue growth at Google, Microsoft, and Sun Microsystems, Larry has developed a sharp understanding of how great companies get built and scaled through great go-to-market motion. As the founder of Sales Champions, he now brings that experience directly to our portfolio founders and serves as our unofficial enterprise sales guru. We're incredibly grateful to Mike and Larry for their time, wisdom, and continued involvement, and we're proud to recognize them as our 2026 Members of the Year. Before shifting to investment activity, I want to take a moment to highlight our exits. 3 portfolio companies achieved successful exits in 2025: Givzey, Healthy Roster, and Amplifund. Givzey is a Boston-based company that uses AI to drive autonomous fundraising for nonprofits. In just over a year, the company quadrupled sales and positioned for a growth round that allowed early investors to take half of our capital off of the table while rolling the remaining investment forward. It was a great outcome, capital back to our investors, and a meaningful position as the company continues to grow. Healthy Roster is a Columbus-based company that built the leading electronic health record system for athletic trainers. The company was acquired by Level Equity in a transaction that also enabled Healthy Roster to acquire a complementary business, Sway Medical. This is a strong outcome that sets the company up for its next chapter of growth. And finally, Amplifund, a Cleveland-founded company that grew into a leading grants management platform for state and local governments. This was one of our most meaningful outcomes and a powerful example of what can happen when visionary founders, experienced operators, and supportive investors work in sync. Last spring, the company was acquired by Unis Systems. We invested more than $3 million across seed and acceleration funds, and for one of those funds, Amplifund became our single largest investment, ultimately returning over half of that fund. It was gratifying to see all 3 of these companies reach an exit in this particular environment, and we're excited to share that we see 3 to 4 additional companies as strong candidates to transact this year. With that said, I'm pleased to pass the baton to Daniel, who will talk about our fund's investment activities.
Thanks, Todd, and thank you to all of our investors, founders, co-investors, and the extended North Coast Ventures network for joining us today. I'm Daniel Lougheed, a partner at North Coast Ventures, leading our investment and portfolio support operations. And I'm excited to summarize our investment activity and portfolio headlines from the past year. As you heard earlier, we are always focused on facilitating introductions of value between our network and our portfolio companies. So please don't hesitate to reach out to our team if you have any connection to a prospective customer or partner of any of these portfolio companies. Last year, we completed 8 initial investments in companies that are new to the Seed 5 and syndication portfolios, deploying $2.4 million into these companies. We are still early in the investment cycle for Seed 5 and completing our final investments for the syndication fund. I'd like to briefly introduce the new portfolio companies now, starting with TandemStride, a Cleveland-based company launched by former Olive exec Matt Kleina. TandemStride is a platform that connects survivors recovering from traumatic injuries and their loved ones with personalized support, including a trained peer mentor and guided resources. TandemStride has already partnered with major trauma centers, national support organizations, and Medicaid health plans and supports tens of thousands of lives. Interactive is a Columbus-based cybersecurity company focused on AI usage and control. The company is led by serial entrepreneur Ray Sheely and provides real-time visibility into AI use, insider behavior, and data movement. We co-led their seed round with Blue Ventures, a cyber-focused investor group based in Washington, D.C. We placed the co-founder of Keyfactor, Kevin von Kaiserling, as our board director, and former Google enterprise sales leader Larry Orwin as an advisor. Primum is a Columbus-based digital healthcare platform led by former CoverMyMeds and Health executive Erica Conroy. Primum enables online curbside consulting for oncologists, and you'll hear directly from Erica in a bit. We co-led a round with healthcare-focused investor FCA Ventures and placed Lance Hill, the founder of Within3, a leading pharma insights platform, on the board. Spearfish is the first contextual intelligence platform for contact centers. The founder, Ray Bohack, is based out of Columbus and a serial entrepreneur, having built multiple Inc. 500 businesses. He's an Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award winner and technologist with deep expertise in customer experience and contact center technologies. Finopsly is a Cincinnati-based company that developed an AI-native cloud cost management and optimization platform that unifies visibility, forecasting, and automated control across multi-cloud data and AI environments. The company was founded by a seasoned cloud and data solutions executive, and we were excited to invest alongside Hyde Park Venture Partners, Centrifuge Capital, and Cultivation Capital. Rivia Health is a Phoenix-based company that offers revenue optimization software tailored for specialty practice groups to address inefficient payment collection. They help healthcare providers get paid more, faster, and at a lower cost. The company is already trusted by over 10,000 healthcare providers and is number one in the Athena Health marketplace for RCM services. We placed former MedPilot co-founder and Vytalize Health exec Nate Spoden as our board observer. Finally, our two most recent investments were in Cycle Labs and Hark. Cycle Labs is a Raleigh-based company that provides an intelligent, purpose-built test automation platform for complex supply chain software environments like warehouse management systems. Its platform accelerates deployments and upgrades by replacing slow, manual testing with automated end-to-end validation. We invested in a round led by First Analysis out of Chicago and placed the former CEO of FedEx Custom Critical, Ramona Hood, as the company's independent director. Hark is a New York City-based company providing an AI-powered voice of customer platform, enabling mid-market and enterprise brands to collect, analyze, and act on multimodal customer feedback, including video, audio, text, and screen recordings, in place of traditional survey-based tools. We invested in their $4 million round led by CEAS, with participation from Lightbank, Oceans, and Alumni Ventures. We also completed initial investments in companies that are new to the Acceleration 3 portfolio. We deployed an additional $2.5 million across Primum, Finopsly, Cycle Labs, Bloomfilter, and Ready Set Surgical. Finally, we completed follow-on investments in these 11 portfolio companies across the Seed 3, 4, Syndication, and Acceleration 1 and 2 portfolios. We deployed nearly $1.4 million via second and third checks in these companies. Our management team and members that serve as board representatives and advisors are working closely with these active companies to continue driving growth and enterprise value. With that, I'm excited to introduce a handful of our portfolio company CEOs that will share brief presentations. The first company presenter, Adam Martel, is the founder and CEO of Givzey, a syndication fund company.
Hi folks, my name is Adam Martel and I'm the founder and CEO here at Givzey version 2. I'm so excited to be giving this update, and 2025 has been an extraordinary and milestone year for our team. For those of you who don't know, Givzey version 2 works in the social goods sector with nonprofit organizations, helping them fundraise more efficiently and more effectively. And while there's 1.8 million nonprofits in the United States, our team focuses on serving the top 21,000 largest higher education, healthcare, and nonprofit organizations that do some of the world's most important work, And these organizations have raised over $557 billion in the past year and continue to do extraordinary work for our communities. About a year and a half ago, my team introduced and launched the category of autonomous fundraising. And we introduced the world to our first fully autonomous product, which was a virtual engagement officer. In 2024, the virtual engagement officer started off fundraising fully autonomously and has made incredible progress over the past 2 years. Now, the problem that we're solving with our virtual engagement officer is a labor shortage at these nonprofit organizations. And the real problem is that fundraisers don't go to school to be frontline fundraisers. There's no training ground for people to raise money in nonprofit organizations. And the largest nonprofit organizations raise all of their money, or the majority of their money, from their very top donors, the top 1 to 5% of the donor pool. But there's another 5 to 10% of their donor pools that could make major commitments and major contributions if they were engaged by frontline fundraisers. And we're applying our autonomous AI to close the gap between what human frontline fundraisers can get to and the relationships they can build, and the rest of the donor pool at all these large nonprofit organizations that are right now being managed by direct mail and direct marketing. When we set out in 2024 to reinvent and redefine the industry of fundraising, we had a simple mission. And our mission was to build the world's most experienced frontline fundraiser using autonomous artificial intelligence and offer every nonprofit organization the ability to add digital fundraising capacity so that they could raise more money and have more of an impact. And I'm proud to say that over the past 2 years, this concept and this product has absolutely exploded. We now have over 200 organizations using our virtual engagement officers to engage prospects, cultivate relationships, and solicit and steward gifts at a large level. And these VEOs are working at organizations across the country. And this map just keeps growing every single day with organizations that are using virtual engagement officers to cultivate and solicit gifts and build relationships with their prospects. Now, when we started in 2024, this was a brand new concept. And so we put together a dashboard that tracked our entire progress from the very first day up until today. And I'm proud to say that the VEO just this past week has crossed $11 million in revenue raised. The VEO has had 71,000 engagements in the past 24 months, has managed 870,000 activities. The VEO, the largest gift the VEO has closed, has been $100,000, and the VEO has closed 56,000 gifts over the last 24 months. It really is truly extraordinary and unbelievable that the VEO has made this much progress in such a short period of time. Now, the metrics for the company have absolutely correlated with the growth we've seen with the virtual engagement officer. This past year alone, our revenue has grown almost 400%. And we're super proud of the fact that last quarter we became cash flow positive. This allows us to control our destiny and do really wonderful, extraordinary things with our products and our customers while continuing to be a financially stable artificial intelligence company, which has become very rare in this day and age. In Q3 of last year, we closed an amazing Series A partnership with a wonderful firm, Telescope Partners. And our goal with that Series A is simple. We want to get revenue to 30 million plus. We want to have 110% net revenue retention or more. And we want to continue to be profitable as we create and own the autonomous AI category space. And our team has been absolutely extraordinary in executing at an extraordinary level. We have our entire leadership team in place. There's been no transitions. And we've added one new board member from our Series A partner who's just been extraordinary. And between our understanding and knowledge of the space, our team, which is truly world-class and doing the best work of their life, and our product, which is industry defining and redefining, we believe that we're set to continue to change the world over the next 5-10 years. I wanted to take a moment to thank NCV and the community for your support. Without the support you gave us early on in the company's life cycle, we wouldn't have the opportunities that we have today. And we're so grateful for our partnership and for your support. Thanks so much, and we look forward to changing the world together.
Thank you, Adam. Next up is Primum, a Seed 5 and Acceleration 3 portfolio company led by co-founder and CEO Erica Conroy.
Hello, my name is Erica Conroy, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Primum. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to you about the company today. Primum is a platform that connects oncologists with their peers for peer-to-peer consults. The way that I describe our company is through a personal story. My mother actually had cancer when I was very young, and they weren't able to find the right treatment for her. In fact, it wasn't really available, and we lost her very quickly. 7 years ago, my dad got diagnosed with multiple myeloma, and today he's really doing well. There's been over 12 treatments that have been approved in multiple myeloma since he was diagnosed. And so today, the problem or the challenge in cancer is somewhat different. There's oftentimes a lot of available treatments. However, the biggest challenge is picking the correct treatment when the options are always quickly evolving. And that challenge lives with the oncologist who's treating that patient. Particularly the challenge with oncologists is those community oncologists that treat the bulk of patients. In fact, community oncologists treat about 70% of patients in the United States. And for them, they treat different kinds of cancer. And so it becomes even harder to stay up to date when you have to stay up to date on lung cancer, breast cancer, melanoma, for example. And so one of the tools that they rely on is what's called curbside consults, when they can actually talk to their peers and get advice on tough cases or complex situations. Now, those are very valuable tools for oncologists, but aren't necessarily scalable. And Primum was built to solve that. So what we do is we connect oncologists to subspecialist peers for peer-to-peer consults on our platform. We allow any provider with a valid MPI to use the platform, and it's 100% free. And we guarantee a response within 24 hours, but the average response is actually just close to 4 hours. We have about 1,000 users to date, which represents 99% of the US population across 47 states, and we have over 8,000 inquiries. So a really rich amount of conversation that has already happened within the platform. The way we're able to fund such an incredible network is our partnerships with biopharma. They have a really close connection to academic institutions, but they don't have a good connectivity with the community, and Primum bridges that gap. Because what we're able to do is provide them insights into how community oncologists are making treatment decisions and how they're processing clinical data. Oftentimes people ask me, well, couldn't ChatGPT replace this or open evidence? And the reality is those AI is extremely powerful at summarizing information. But when it comes to judgment, to decisions that require judgment or particular patient cases that take into account comorbidities, patient preference, complex cases, it's very difficult. And that's where clinical judgment is critical. We actually did a study with NYU just looking at this, where we compared Primum expert answers with ChatGPT, and 80% of oncologists said they prefer Primum. I just want to say thank you to North Coast Ventures. You guys have been an incredible partner. You have done so much to help us in the business already through introductions, particularly at Cleveland Clinic and university hospitals across the state of Ohio. And I am looking forward to your continued help, particularly around those biopharma introductions and the provider introductions as well. We're really grateful to be part of the team, to be able to do such impactful work. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Next, I would like to invite Faris Ghawi, the co-founder and CEO of Vytalize, to share more about their growth in 2025. Vytalize is a Seed 4 and Acceleration 2 portfolio company.
Hey everyone, this is Faris. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Vytalize Health. It's good to be with the NCV community again this year. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share Vytalize's update and introduce the company to those of you who don't know us. So Vytalize is transforming the $5 trillion healthcare industry through value-based care. Value-based care is a payment model for healthcare that allows entities like Vytalize to get paid for helping improve health outcomes and lowering cost. So Vytalize works with doctors' offices and manages the total cost of care for patients, so that through prevention, through more proactive care, through data analytics, AI clinical decision support, we're able to keep patients at home, out of the hospital, and lower healthcare costs and make sure that we're getting the right value out of the healthcare dollars that we spend. I co-founded the company with a couple of physicians, Hassan Bayat and Mir Al-Najjar, who are at Vytalize today. We're 11 years in. We started the company in New York back in 2014, and after many pivots, landed at the business model that we have today. Vytalize today is scaled. We are in 30 states. We're managing 400,000 patients with 10,000 plus providers across primary care, specialty care. We're proud that last year was our first profitable year, so we generated $40 million of EBITDA and are on track for $70 million of EBITDA this year. This came on the heels of very rapid growth in top line over the past few years and a shift in focus to really drive profitability and show that value-based care companies can both grow and drive real EBITDA. We believe we're years ahead of the competition. We have an AI clinical decision support platform and other innovations that really put us ahead of the curve. We've proven our ability to lower costs and improve practices' performance year after year. When practices join Vytalize, the total cost of care for their patients goes down year over year, and we've validated this data through third-party actuarial reports, and that is something we're very proud of. Vytalize is raising a Series D in Q2, and we'll talk a little bit about how you can help. So just a little bit of context, Vytalize is a value-based care native AI-powered operating system enabling primary care providers to participate and share in shared savings generated in the system with Medicare. We help our doctors outperform their peers on total cost of care and on quality. We do this through a combination of things: technology, financial incentives, clinical programs, and proper practice underwriting, and making sure the right practices are in the right programs. The result of that is better health for patients, more money for doctors for keeping patients healthy and out of the hospital, not the other way around, savings for Medicare and the taxpayer, and outsized returns for Vytalize shareholders. So this is just a quick overview of what our AI clinical decision support platform looks like. Key to know is that we are taking the entire scientific literature, analyzing, studying it, and running that against our patient data to see what opportunities exist for any individual patient while they are with their physicians to make sure they're getting the latest and greatest care that science has to offer. This is built on exclusive data sets that combine clinical and financial data and is integrated critically into the physician's workflow. So physicians can get this information at their fingertips in their electronic medical records while they're with the patient so that they don't have to go do their own research or go open up a million tabs and join a different platform. This is all in the workflow, if the EMR is allowed, of course. We're integrating with the top 6 EMRs in the country, and that allows us to cover over 70% of our physician base. A quick overview of the results over the past few years. So you'll see on the left here, this is a simplified version of how our savings improved year over year. This is data that has been produced and validated by Milliman, the leading actuary in the country, and it just basically shows that practices that join Vytalize get better year after year. And by better, we mean better health outcomes and lower costs, right? So we are saving the system a lot of unnecessary, wasteful spending, and we hope to continue to do that at scale. Quick overview of the journey. So we have proven the ability to lower costs. We're generating about 8% cost savings with mature practices. May not sound like a lot, but that is about $1,400 per Medicare beneficiary per year, right? So scaled across all of Medicare. This is trillions of dollars over 10 years and could really make a huge impact in Medicare's budget and how healthcare is delivered across the country. We are profitable, cash flow positive. As I mentioned, we're on track to $70 million of EBITDA this year. We have begun our AI transformation, starting with clinical decision support and driving operating efficiency, and we are driving outsized returns. We've grown about 10x every 4 years, and we plan on doing it again going into 2030. We just announced our strategic plan for 2030 and had us modestly achieving this goal. How you can help. So we're growing our team, specifically AI engineers, data scientists, FP&A and legal. So you can go on the Vytalize website, see what opportunities there are, but we would love introductions to folks from the community. It is really important for us that we get people that are mission driven, that believe in value-based care, believe in the goal of transforming healthcare and doing it by aligning incentives with better health outcomes. We are raising a equity round in Q2. This will be our Series D, and we welcome introductions from the North Coast community and network as well. And then finally, we're always looking for customers to grow our customer base, whether that's health systems or independent physician groups. We welcome introductions. We can help with value-based care through our ACO. We also just launched a management services organization. This is more of a back office support, technology enabled for doctors' offices. So this expands our customer base from what used to be predominantly primary care into specialty care as well. So we welcome all types of physician groups, independents, larger, smaller health systems. We have something to offer to help bring them into value-based care and to make the best out of the latest and greatest in AI. And we welcome introductions for team, investors, and customers. So that's all. That's a lot to kind of catch up in a couple of minutes, but hopefully it gives you a flavor for what Vytalize is about, what we've been up to, and where we're headed. Just want to say again, thank you so much for North Coast, for the team there in the community, for all of the support over the years. It's been a real privilege being part of this community. And in many ways, it feels like we're just getting started. So thank you again for all the support. Excited about all the work you're doing and continuing to watch what you guys do. And, grateful for being on this journey with you. And thank you again for listening, and hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you, Faris. I would like to welcome Peter Taylor, the CEO of Realtime Intelligence, to share updates on their 2025.
Hi there. I'm Peter Taylor. I'm the CEO of RTI. Really excited to give you a quick update on the company, but briefly a word of thanks to Daniel and to Todd for inviting us along, and to you and your investors for the support of our company to date. We're very grateful. RTI is a 1.6 million ARR business with a 60% gross margin. We're most excited that among our users and customers are the great and good, the innovators, and some of the largest companies in the world. In fact, 3 of our users and customers are over $200 billion each, and they push us to be best at what we do every day. I'm going to give you a more detailed update on the company in just a second, but briefly, before that, my background. I spent 15 years helping company owners and investors unstick growth. At Belkin Wemo, we went from 10,000 units sold to over 4 million. At the Adidas Ventures wearable investment, we went from 30,000 wrists to over 25 million wrists. Ultimately, I oversaw a 50 times revenue sale of the business. At both of those, NoiseAware and Transect, the playbook is maniacal, detailed, analytical focus of the ICP, the value proposition, creating new channels and new pricing models. So I was really excited to meet RTI, who seemed to have got a little bit stuck. Within my first few weeks, we narrowed our focus to a single offering. We tightened up our burn rate, and we zoomed in on a clear description of the problem we solve. And so here it is. These reusable assets have 3 bad habits. They get lost, they're slow coming back home, and they suffer early failure before their 5-year advertised life. With an increased focus in the world today on saving money and reducing waste, not to mention a need for more resilience thanks COVID, we're seeing booming interest in what we do. From brands as broad as one that delivers dinner to your doorstep, as brands that are in the refrigerator in your house right now. We're very excited to be positioned to capture some of the tailwind here. A bit more detail on our solution. So today we work with RFID, anyone's tags, anyone's readers, and our software distills 1.5 billion transactions a month into 2 or 3 usable insights for each of our customers to improve cycles per asset per year by 1/3 and reduce losses by 1/2. And those data points come from having looked at over 300 million assets in the company's lifetime. We know AI is coming for every sector, and in supply chain, it will do incredible things on planning and forecasting. However, it's still only a digital record. And so RTI is positioning ourselves as the data set to be the source of truth, to train and true up anyone and everyone's AI supply chain model. As we look forward, we'd love it if any of you could help us out with introductions to large players who might have their own fleet of reusable transport items, to investors or executives who've got extensive supply chain experiences and would love to join a small company with the biggest logos in the world as existing customers and users. Thank you again so much for listening. We're hugely appreciative to the team for their introductions, to their support through the changes we've been through. And we'd just like to summarize, we've got an extreme focus on businesses with reusable assets. We've been cited by the world's biggest e-commerce giant as the industry de facto standard. And we've been building an outstanding customer base and can't wait to add more with our accelerator partnership with our packaging manufacturer friend. Thank you so much for listening. I truly hope I get to meet some of you someday. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day yourself. Bye for now.
Thank you, Peter. Finally, Charlie Lougheed, the founder and CEO of Axuall, will share an update. Axuall is a seed fund 3 company.
Hi, I'm Charlie Lougheed, CEO and founder of Axuall. I want to give you a quick update on the business, what we've built, who we're serving, and where we're headed. Let's start with a problem. Healthcare runs on provider data, but that data is notoriously inaccurate, outdated, and fragmented. When healthcare organizations don't have good provider information, everything downstream breaks. That inaccuracy isn't just an administrative headache. It directly disrupts the provider supply chain. It impacts patient access to care, degrades quality, delays revenue, and compresses margin. It's a systemic problem across the U.S. Axuall solves this by building what we call the clinician super record. We aggregate thousands of data sources, 30 billion encounters and procedures across millions of clinicians. The result is a 360-degree profile. Credentials, practice profiles, attrition risk, patient panel stats, colleague networks, and much more. No one else has this data at this depth or this breadth. This data powers a suite of interrelated products. The Confirm module streamlines provider onboarding and credentialing. The Explore module helps organizations find and recruit the right providers. The Sync module keeps provider data clean and flowing into downstream systems, powering the next generation of directories and patient navigation. And later this year, we're launching Provider Market Intelligence for workforce planning and supply and demand modeling. We're also leaning into the AI moment in a unique way. Through our upcoming Bring Your Own Bot offering, enterprise clients can connect their own AI platforms directly to the super record. That means when they ask questions and run analyses across billions of data points, they get great information. It's a major accelerant for innovation. Our customer base includes some of the most recognizable names in healthcare, along with major staffing firms and digital health companies. And by the way, these aren't just customers. These are co-creators and investors that helped us shape the product. The business is performing well. In 2025, we grew ARR by 34%. We hit 104% of net revenue retention and 98% of GRR. We're cash efficient, partly because we built an AI everywhere culture. We're applying AI everywhere on research, product development, operations, and sales and marketing. And by the way, this isn't just a talking point. It's how we scale a lean team to punch way above our weight. Here's where we'd love your help. We're always looking for warm introductions, particularly to large health systems, staffing firms, health plans, and digital health companies. On the talent side, we're hiring healthcare data experts, AI wranglers, product managers, and sales professionals. If someone comes to mind, we'd love the connection. So thanks again for your time and support. North Coast has always been a friend, all the way from the beginning, and we're honored to be in its portfolio. Cheers.
Thank you, Charlie. Now let's move on to headlines from the broader portfolio over the past year. We have a number of other portfolio companies that are growing rapidly. I'll share brief headlines related to a handful we are really excited about. Starting with Navistone, the company has demonstrated strong commercial traction, growing revenue to over $17 million while remaining EBITDA positive. Navistone offers a software solution that leverages website visitor data to engage direct mail prospects, serving customers like cruise lines and large e-commerce brands. New product development, including a Shopify integration and a partnership with Modern Postcard, have helped the company expand their market. The company is targeting a growth equity round in late 2026. Next is Ready Set Surgical. This company provides cloud-based solutions for hospital and surgery center supply chain and surgical staff, creating workflow efficiencies and reducing surgical operating costs. Contracted annual recurring revenue at the close of 2025 was nearly double their ARR at the end of 2024, and they achieved a substantial increase in gross margins. The company also secured another leading hospital system customer in 2025. Bloomfilter is a software solution that provides end-to-end visibility, traceability, and control over how AI agents and humans execute work. In 2025, the company announced a strategic partnership with Celonis to deliver the Agent Miner by Bloomfilter app, allowing thousands of Celonis customers to easily govern, measure, and optimize their work. Helia Health more than doubled ARR in 2025. The Y Combinator-backed company provides an AI-powered tool that helps employers reduce their healthcare costs significantly while providing families a benefit that covers up to 100% of their out-of-pocket costs. Brokers and employers love Helia. Notably, its claims processing LLM is now reviewing 79% of medical claims processed for their customers. This was a significant year for Narratize, which has created a generative AI intelligence platform for product innovation. They have proven their ability to help organizations launch products almost 50% faster and landed a number of new impressive enterprise clients last year. Finally, 90.io maintained strong momentum in 2025 and now serves over 10,000 companies. The Atlanta-based Insight Partners-backed company enables management teams to implement a business operating system like EOS to increase accountability and gain traction. As I wrap up our portfolio headlines, I would like to remind our investor members that a detailed report, including a chart like the one shown here, along with a written narrative about the progress and significant updates related to each portfolio company, can be found in our member portal. This example chart shows the overall composition and performance of one of our portfolios. Now, I will turn the program back over to Todd, who will lead a fireside chat with Dan Gilbert. We are excited to bring you all this conversation with a founder who has one of the greatest entrepreneurial stories in the Midwest. Todd, over to you.
Well, thanks, Daniel. Dan, it is great to be here at the headquarters of Rocket Companies. We have enjoyed our time here, and as we've walked through the halls, gotten to meet some of your technology leaders, and also seen some of the developments, we've really gotten a sense of the energy and the excitement that's just palpable in the experience. So it's been fun for us to see, and I think it's a great backdrop for this conversation.
Glad to have you in Detroit.
Terrific. Well, a number of our investors and founders will certainly know you and know of you, but I'd still like to take a moment and provide a brief background. And, by way of introduction, Dan is the founder and chairman of Rocket Companies, the engine of the nation's largest mortgage lender. Dan is one of the most active technology investors in the Midwest through his work at Rock and Detroit Venture Partners. Dan's vision is very abundant in what's happening here in Detroit, as far as a massive urban development, and also increasingly in Cleveland, where recently it was announced that there'd be a $3.5 billion Cuyahoga Riverfront plan, a new COSM location coming in Cleveland, which is also coming to Detroit, which is a really interesting and innovative technology and entertainment venue. So a lot of exciting things happening there, and it's been great to see those things come and develop. In Cleveland, of course, most people will know you as the owner and chairman of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I have to say, go Cavs. We are excited for this year.
Almost the playoffs.
Almost playoff time. So we're excited to talk to you today about your view of business, of technology and AI, how you might think about the kinds of companies that best partner with Rocket, and also the bigger picture of development and what's next.
Sure.
So with that, Dan, thank you and welcome.
My pleasure.
So Might start out big picture. You have led companies through a lot of change. We've seen the dot-com bubble. We've seen the 2008 financial crisis, COVID, of course. In this current moment of dynamic national and international changes, fast-moving secular and technology developments, how are you focused on leading? Is it any different? Are there things you're doubling down on? Or is it just another change?
Well, first, we're always focused on culture before strategy. Somebody said, I don't think this is my line, but somebody said culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Indeed.
And I really believe in that. So we just got to make sure we're staying core to our principles, which we call our isms, because they've taken us through all the tough times in the past. So we make sure everybody's still in line on the culture. And then the strategy kind of comes out of that a little bit. But strategically, I think that just like everybody else in the world, I think the two letters, AI are the two letters everyone's focused on.
Yes.
As we are.
I bet, and certainly talk more about that. Let's talk about the isms for a minute, because although I do want to look forward, I want to talk about the foundation of your business and of really the culture of all the businesses here, which is the isms. There are a number of them, but I'd like to focus on two. The one is the inches we need are everywhere around us. That's intuitive. We see it on signs and walls here. I know it's part of the DNA, but how does it come to life in an organization of this scale?
Well, first, there's about 20 or 21 isms, and we really take them seriously. And they were, I guess, developed, I would say, 20 plus years ago. But we stuck to them, and we make a little adjustments from time to time. Once in a while, we'll add a new one. But we take it very, very seriously. And from the time somebody starts here, from their first week or two, they usually sit through an 8-hour day where we bathe them in our culture. I mean, I talk to them, but as well as other senior leaders throughout that day. We go through examples of what we mean. We don't just give them the isms book. We show them what we mean by this and how it really shows itself in real life. And then from there, the leadership is always talking about it, always bringing it up. I mean, you got to keep it top of mind or it fades away, as you probably know.
One of the isms that really stands out from an early stage investor perspective is launch and learn. You know, that very much is a way of being for startups, but it feels like that is now on steroids in a world of AI, because just over the past few months, with access to tools like Claude Code and Codex, the ability to create is in the hands of most people in this building, not just the engineers. So curious how you think about this explosion of speed and creativity and balancing it with running a public company that's also regulated.
Right. Well, launch and learn really promotes people to come up with their ideas and their innovation, and don't be afraid of failing, because if you have an organization in this world that's afraid of failing, then you're not going to get any innovation. And I think the only way to compete in this world is to have great innovation. So, launch and learn from that. I mean, it's almost like giving people a pass. It's okay to launch, and we'll learn on the way. We don't have to have it perfect before you launch.
Absolutely. And some of the changes I think of that you were early with were closing the branches and going online.
Yeah, that was at the turn of the last century, yes. I mean, when the dot-com thing really started to take off, we said, I mean, we're just in the data business. You don't have to even sit in furniture or sit in a car to decide whether you want to buy our product. It's not something you have to touch and feel. And if you remember back then, people were questioning whether people would buy this on the internet, would they buy that? And one of the big questions was, would somebody ever put in a social security number in the internet? And we found out, yes, they would. And they keep doing it. So thank God for us.
Rocket has always been known for investing internally, developing internally, as opposed to relying on outside partners. And that seems like an even better bet in the age of AI, where you're going to be able to take these tools and really run with them. But I'm curious, is that part of the DNA of the company, or is that something that happened more naturally?
I'd say not just in technology. I think you were hitting overall, yes, we've been more of an organically grown business. Now, we have made 2 large acquisitions last year, which is something we haven't really done a lot of in the past. We've done smaller acquisitions, but we're generally an organically grown company. That's how our leadership has come up. Although our current CEO is the first CEO from the outside, Varun Krishna, but his expertise and background is AI, which was very, very important to us.
On the investing front, you've been part of a number of ventures, big and small. You've started a venture fund here in Detroit. Not investing exclusively in Detroit, but a meaningful portion of the portfolio is here in Detroit. Can you talk about why and what you've seen?
Yeah, when we moved down to Detroit and decided this is where we're all going to be, all 25,000 of us, and we wanted to take a major leadership role in helping bring the city back, we thought that having Detroit Venture Partners, a venture firm, investing in early stage companies would not only be profitable, but it would be great for the city and great for attracting young talent or keeping young talent here. And so, we, like you said, we will invest in Detroit a lot, but it's not just Detroit. We invest in companies in Cleveland and in California and other cities. And our guys are connected with a lot of other funds, and hopefully you guys as well, always talking about ideas.
Yes. You mentioned talent, and there's an old mode of thinking that talent just congregates on the coast.
Yeah.
You need a certain amount of density, and it's unlikely to attract great talent to places other than the coast. It seems like AI is a great equalizer of that, because you don't need 100-person dev teams at the earlier mid stage of a company, and with web-based tools, access to people is very different. So I'm curious, if you looked at your success of attracting world-class talent here to Rocket, are there levers you see that we should all be better pulling to bring talent to the Midwest and retain it?
Well, for us, because we've spent so much in the downtown core, not just us, but others, and it's developed so rapidly in the last 5-7 years, we just have to walk people around Detroit, and they feel it.
Yeah.
They feel the energy, and they get excited, and they want to be part of it. So that's been a benefit to us in a big way in the last half decade, but it was harder much before that.
Where did you get that conviction that it would work?
Well, we had the luxury of being the tenant and the landlord for the first 5 or 7 years. So our first investments were in some of the large, big, very well architected buildings that just weren't getting a lot of love over the years. And we invested in those buildings knowing that we had thousands of people to move into them over the next several years from the suburbs. So it was a little bit of a cheat code in there for us,
at
least initially. And when we started doing that, we started really talking to a lot of our vendors and encouraging them to move here, which a lot of them did. And then other businesses we helped recruit. And so it catches on. It's like a snowball going down a hill. And I think Cleveland's got the same opportunity. It's already starting to happen, but I think these Midwest cities have such great work ethic and great people. I think it's more than just a cliche. It's real.
Do you think that helps, that kind of vision helps with retention? Or are there other things we should be doing to keep the talented people here in our cities?
Well, I think it takes the state, the city, the business community, the foundations, the community itself, all rowing in the same boat together. I was just meeting with our mayor this morning on this subject. It's funny you ask. And we were talking about what kind of incentive plans, what kind of things we can do. We're competing. I think cities like Cleveland and Detroit have to realize every day is a competition for your own kids coming out of the universities. They're going to look at New York. They're going to look at Chicago. They're going to look at Miami. They're going to look at LA. They're going to look at Seattle. And they're going to hopefully look at Cleveland and Detroit. I mean, we just got to be in that conversation. At least in Detroit here, once we're in the conversation, we think we can win a lot of them. But number one is to retain the folks that are coming out. Number two, get the rebounds, the ones that want to come back. And number three, go out and get other kids from other states. But I think there's such great things about the Great Lakes area. Those of us who live there don't even realize how great it is. We lose a little sight of it. Natural resources and just the quality of people and the family environment that isn't so hot on the East and West Coast like it is here.
Yeah.
So we got to do more. We've got to do more of understanding we're in competition, and we got to sell it, and we've got to make sure we're focusing on the assets that we have.
Yeah. Well, part of what we've heard from Bedrock in Cleveland is the strength of the vision around the riverfront.
Yes.
Right? Where there's Tower City, this great older asset that there's a vision for developing, for putting assets around it, but then building brand new and actually creating a way for people to live and work and play on that waterfront there along the river. And it seems to be a really transformative vision. And it seems to be something also that our civic institutions, our government institutions, in addition to you as a developer, are really behind.
Yeah, it's a large project. I mean, it's going to be a $3.5 billion project by the time it's done. And we've already got some key pieces in place. We've got the Cavs, they're calling it development facility, but it's really a practice facility. And we partnered with Cleveland Clinic on that. They're going to have a lot of open services to the public. They're going to be for not just athletes, but everybody. So that's the big piece that started. Then we've got COSM coming in, which you mentioned before. And we just made a deal with Live Nation to have a 6,700 seat amphitheater right on the river there, which I think is going to be very successful. They're very excited about it, and they're the experts.
Absolutely. And there are only a handful, right?
There's only a handful of those in the country yet. They're looking at one in Detroit here as well.
So let's talk about early stage investing for a moment. You are known as the kind of investor that is more intent on identifying and supporting the jockey, say, than the horse.
Yes.
Tell us why, and does that look any different in 2026?
I think it's the same. I think I've always had this view that you get great people, and the idea could morph or change over time. And if you've got a great jockey, he can jump on another horse. Of course, you got to look at the idea, but I'm more interested in the people.
Absolutely. And you've invested in people you've known for longer periods of time,
Yeah.
right?
We've had a lot of businesses come out of our flagship business, multiple ones, like even StockX, which is now a worldwide company, was for some guys that were working here at the business. There's been a lot that have come from us. And it's exciting to see because we have an infrastructure that can support them and give them jump starts and even be customers for them.
And that's part of the family of companies
the
concept?
Family of companies, which I think we were talking before we started. That's, you guys are sort of bought up into that strategy a little bit too. You got a lot of investors who can add a lot to the operational capability of the companies.
Very much. Our view is that if all we can generate from our investors is capital, we're not really doing our job. We want to generate industry expertise, functional expertise, and the kinds of introductions that can really make or break a company.
And on the other side of that too, if all you can offer the companies is money,
Yes.
that's not enough these days either.
No, it's not. And that doesn't give them a good reason to select a place like Cleveland or Detroit if they're just getting money. They really need something more.
Exactly right. So that's another reason to at least keep the entrepreneurs from those cities there and then go get others.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you look for besides jockey in a startup? Because so many of these businesses might be middle of the road companies. They might have potential, but not necessarily a big enough opportunity to really drive a substantive return. How big of a swing do you need to take?
Well, we like big ideas and we like big innovation. And I'm not real excited about guys who start the conversation with a spreadsheet and want to show me what their net income is going to be 3 years from now, which is just voodoo anyway. I mean, how are you going to know? You're never going to know that far out what your projections are going to be. So let's start with the idea, sell us on the idea. Let's bring in a lot of people who want it as an audience within the companies that can hear it. Let's have a deep conversation about it and keep going deep on the idea. And of course, go deep on the jockey as well.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
Are they listeners? Are they curious?
Intellectual curiosity is half of the game, it seems.
Do they ask any questions? You know?
Yeah.
Simple as it sounds.
Yeah. And what's your grit radar? What's your sense of how to evaluate something like that in a founder?
That's a great question. So I guess you got to look from where are they from? Where did they go to school? Did they fail at all or anything? We want guys who have bounced back from failure. Doesn't mean we go and look for failure. Most people in the world have failed at something. Let's hear about it. Let's hear how you handled it.
Tends to shape us more than success. Dan, in addition to what you do now, you must have a lot of spare time in your life because in addition to creating a public company, having a real estate empire, leading a professional basketball team, and venture capital, you decided to co-found and launch and be part of StockX, a startup that was built here in Detroit, put in time, energy, and capital, and grew into a several billion-dollar venture.
Yes.
Are there lessons from that you think the entrepreneurs in Detroit and Cleveland, other Midwest cities should take about what special set of ingredients we need more of so that we can have 10, 20 StockXs in the coming years?
Well, it's a great question. I think that it's always, we've talked about it 3 times already, but it's always about the jockey. Do you have the right guy or women or the right leadership that has that special way about them that they're extremely motivated to build a big company? And will they take advantage of all the assets around them? I mean, just because you put assets around an entrepreneur doesn't mean they're going to tap into them. In this case, they really did in a big way. And it's very exciting. We have 13 verification centers all around the world. The last Black Friday, they did like 3 trades per second in the day.
Is that right?
I mean, hundreds of thousands of trades in that day, and it's very exciting.
Well, I shudder to think how many of those trades my 16-year-old was responsible for, because I know he is a fan, and
There's
and his
a ton of
friends are on it.
16-year-olds.
Yeah. Well, and interestingly, it is a bit of a training ground for entrepreneurship, right? Because they're thinking about product and price. They get to test different things out.
Yes.
And I suspect that you're sparking a lot of entrepreneurial
It's
energies.
almost like when people had eBay shops. Some of these kids are creating their own business on the business.
So AI is obviously the topic du jour. And all companies will say that they are not just piloting AI, utilizing AI, but using it in scale and getting ROI. How do you think about what projects to prioritize, and what kind of early results have you seen from using it here at Rocket?
Well, we've had some great early results, and we look at it like, how is the AI going to generate revenue? We're always a revenue generation first company versus expense reduction. I mean, if it's expense reduction is obvious, you obviously take advantage of that, but how can you generate revenue? And I'll give you a couple examples of the way we use it. So our bankers who sell mortgages over the phone for the whole country. There's 3,000 of them. They actually have an earpiece inside their when they're talking to clients or potential clients. The AI is reading the call and listening to the call, and will give them certain cues in their ear saying, the call's going off track. You need to talk about this, or this, or how about offering this, or that, just based on the millions of past calls that it's listened to. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's a powerful capability and something obviously that doesn't come out of a box, right? That's not just a new LLM that's generating those insights. It's got to have the intelligence, the data, and then the experience from all those interactions.
It's got to have. It's listening to millions of calls that we've done over the last few years and continues to listen to them and makes adjustments. And it bases it on the individual who's on the call from our end, who they're talking to, what state they're in. So it goes on and on.
Yeah.
We also do where we couldn't have hours till like 3, 4, 5 in the morning and staff thousands more bankers, because some people like to chat. It just handles all of our chat now, and it's very intelligent too. So you got extended hours across the country now. When people want to know about their pre-approvals in the middle of the night, it executes the whole thing.
And I imagine that speed is part of getting the deal done.
Yes, speed and having the access.
And on the AI and technology front, are there things you're particularly excited about in the future that you see around the corner that you could share?
A lot of it is inches and inches and inches, right? So on the expense side, we found a lot of kind of mundane operations that are kind of more on the simple side, verifications of certain things that we put into the AI's hands. It helps with time and cost. But those people who it replaces, we want to keep them and just redeploy them into areas that they can make an impact with their human brains.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's part of a new capability, right? Is because more and more people are going to be able to solve the problems that are right there in their hands today. But without tools, it's hard to solve those problems. But really, who better to solve them and bring the insights than the people right there on the front lines?
It's always been a philosophy of ours to make sure we're talking to the people who are doing the actual work.
Yeah.
And getting their feedback and ideas and keep testing, going back in the loop.
Yeah. And having access to these models, that proprietary data and insights, does that give you a different landscape and roadmap of acquisitions and growth in the future?
It does show you certain opportunities that you look at, that you may want to potentially look at an acquisition here or there, or build it yourself.
Well, the build buy math seems to have changed a bit.
It has. We made 2 large acquisitions in the last year here, Mr. Cooper and Redfin. And Redfin is, as you know, is kind of like they're number 2 to Zillow in real estate in the country. But we think we'll soon be number 1. But they brought a lot of technology along with a great business model that feeds the top of the funnel for us. And Cooper is the biggest servicer of mortgages in the country, which for us is huge because it serves as a counterbalance to when rates are moving up, servicing's worth more.
Yeah.
Rates are moving down, the origination side is on fire. So it gives us the ability to be profitable in both ends of the real estate or the interest rate spectrum, which is very, very important to investors.
Absolutely.
So those acquisitions were large. We just finished consuming them all, and we're pretty much done doing that. But that was not an easy task.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're not just examples of vertical integration, but actually additive to each other.
Yes. And then when you're servicing 10 million households now and $2 trillion in mortgages, you have a lot of opportunity for those folks who are not going to buy a home or refinance that are already in our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So it's not always going out and getting new business.
Well, Dan, this has been really terrific. I've enjoyed the conversation. I think we've hit a lot of the areas that we'd like to. And I must also just acknowledge that in a business landscape that often touts vision and visionaries and celebrates it, it's rare to engage with people who've walked the walk, who've seen that vision come to reality and actually executed in a way as to accomplish what you've accomplished here. So I might just say, as someone coming from a Cleveland perspective, how appreciative we are for what has been done in our backyard and how excited we are for what we know is in motion.
Well, I appreciate that. And we're very bullish on Cleveland and the Cavaliers for that matter. But I really think that we need more business people like you believing in Cleveland and investing dollars in Cleveland, because there's a lot of great people who are not only in Cleveland, but from Cleveland who probably want to come back, just like you did.
Absolutely.
And we have to have the business community behind them, keep feeding each other.
It's not an overnight process.
No, it's not. You guys have been doing it for years already, years and years, but we need more.
Here's to more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you,
Well,
Dan.
thank you. My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it. Enjoyed it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd and Dan. That concludes our annual meeting event. We want to again thank our presenting sponsor, Thompson Hine, our supporting sponsor, K2 Venture Partners, and all of our Innovation Council partners. And finally, thank you all for tuning in.